Welcome to a special live edition of the Coach Dad podcast. Today's conversation is called Act 2 for Men. Coach Dad is joined by Ken Alexander and a room full of men for an honest conversation about what happens in the second act of life, what we're carrying, how we're changing, and who we're becoming. This one's a little different. It's not a panel and it's not a seminar. It's a conversation, and you're going to hear it unfold just as it happened. Here's Coach Dad.
One of the things I want to cover is how we got here. My wife does a podcast, rather not a podcast, but a TikTok where she's talking with middle-aged women about their transition years, going through perimenopause, going through hormonal changes, and the neglected group that doesn't have any information is men, because we're going through our own changes and our own things. And in my own life, you know, I wake up one day and I'm not as spry as I used to be. You know, some things have changed. I need some increased libido, testosterone. Need, you know, energy's low, not sleeping well, feet hurt. Got these flat shoes on. I used to laugh at my grandparents and my dad, everybody wearing them I call them medicated shoes, and now I'm trying to find the most comfortable thing possible. And so, you know, dealing with all of that and trying to help my wife navigate her thing while trying to understand my thing is how we came to Act 2. And so, and Act 1 is our building stage, where we are hustling, trying to start a family. We started a new job. We're trying to build wealth. We're trying to take care of that family. And then the years pass, and now you're in your 40s. And now the relationships you thought were good are not good. The connections you thought you had, maybe not as appreciated as you thought they were. And so now, how do we make these adjustments? How do we make these changes? For me, one of the things I went through is I got lost in the kids. I got lost in their football and their track and all those different things. And so, you know, what that did for me is I forgot about me. I forgot to take care of me. I'm making sure everybody else gets to the doctor, but I don't get to the doctor. I'm making sure everybody else, you know, gets the, you know, the things that they need, but I'm not really looking back for me. I'm kind of wearing, you know, just sweats all the time and just trying to get to the next practice. And so one of the things that you see me here is, I know those who are going to see this live in the video, this is not a get up. I'm wearing a fedora. I'm wearing hats now lately in remembrance of what my father used to wear, what my grandfather used to wear at that age when we're quote unquote grown men and looking like grown men. And for a long time, I didn't want to look like the older man, but I am the older man. And now, how do I embrace that and begin to transition into some other things? And so I've dealt with everything from depression. I dealt with everything from neglecting myself. And then a funny thing happened once I got near my 50s, all these emotions started rising up. And I had to deal with my old trauma. And so one of the things that we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about these things. We're not gonna try to fix anybody. We're just gonna, you know, give everybody a chance to share their experience and really take a look at where you are within your second act. I want to do a quick little exercise. If you would, everybody just close your eyes where you're at. Raise your hand if you're over 40. All right, put your hand down. Raise your hand if you got a child under 18 and a parent over 70. Either one, don't have to be both. Okay. Raise your hand if in the last year you've had a health scare and didn't tell anybody. Okay. Raise your hand if you're the person everybody in your family calls on when something goes wrong. Raise your hand if you thought about your life and how it would look and Sometimes you just want to leave it. Okay. Raise your hand if you're a man that will receive a call at 3 a.m. and people will expect you to answer. Okay. Keep your hand up if you actually picked up. Okay. Raise your hand if you've cried in the last 6 months. Raise your hand if you just stopped in your car and cried by yourself so that you could just have a moment. Okay. Raise your hand if you're the strongest man in every room you walk into. If you would, open your eyes. The reason we went through that is just to have you just think about some of these things, reflect on some of these things, because as we get ready to dive a little deeper, we're going to share, if you're comfortable with sharing, about your experiences in some of these roles, some of these areas.
Yeah, so we didn't have our eyes closed up here, so I could tell you that you guys are not in this alone. You may think, and a lot of times we think we're in it all by ourselves, but looking around this room, a lot of folks raise their hands and have the same things going on as other folks. So you're not alone.
First question is, who taught you to be the man you're supposed to be, and are you still living by those same rules? Larry, and then I'll come back to you, Ron.
I would say for me, the person who taught me to be the man I am is kind of twofold.
Mm-hmm.
It started with my father,
Mm-hmm.
but it ended with my brothers. I got 7 brothers. So that being said, I'm at the bottom. So all my older brothers molded a lot of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Where my father started, they kind of fixed it. A lot of things I've changed and some of the things that I do, I don't say changed, but have grown. And some of the things that I was told how to report myself, how to be, whatever else it might be. I am probably 80% of who they molded me to be and 20% of what I've created in my own.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the question is that working for you today?
It is.
Okay, awesome. A weight that you're carrying that nobody knows about. It could be you're worried about a dying parent. You're worrying about your own health, your own mortality. A child that is not on the path that you think they should be. What's a weight that you're carrying, that you're struggling with, that nobody else knows about?
I had a scare on December 22nd of last year where I was sitting in my office and I got a chest pain, a deep chest pain. And it lasted about a couple of minutes and went away. And I sat there and I was a little puzzled. It was heartburn, beat it out. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, I had another one. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked because of how bad it hurt, the pain, and it lasted about another minute or two. So at that point, I'm startled because I had never felt it before. Mm-hmm. Then I went to stand up a couple minutes later and I almost fell. So I get up and I drove myself to the VA. Mm. Right, so I get to the VA and of course, I check myself in at emergency room and they immediately, pulled me to the back and hooked me up and do all the things. And it was literally something that I had never felt before in my life. I'm 55 years old, feel like I'm in pretty good health, and I was startled. I was afraid. Didn't call anyone. Didn't call my wife, my mom. People I would normally call. And I'm sitting in the VA, and I never forget. And I'm hooked to all these machines, and all I can think about is my family, my kids, my mom, and all the things. And then they finally just said, "Look, you have high blood pressure." I think it was like 171 over 100, so some crazy number like that. And I didn't call anyone for a couple hours. They let me go, schedule appointments at the VA for all you that have been to the VA. And I didn't call anyone for several hours. And I finally decided to call my mom and let her know. Mm-hmm. Right? Of course, I got cussed out because I drove myself to the hospital. But very few people that I love and cherish the most, and 2 men are in this room, I don't think I've ever shared that story with, because there's a certain level of vulnerability that I have with certain people, but I didn't want to share that because I've always been a man of in pretty good health and sound mind and all the good things. And when I began to share with people that I love, my kids, my mom, Of course, they were all angry, but there was a level of concern that I hadn't felt since I was a child for my well-being, because I was always wanting to carry, everyone.
So why do you think that you didn't tell anybody, or why you didn't, ask for help or tell your family until you knew what was going on? What was that all about?
Because I was raised by my mom, and I wanted to protect her. I wanted to protect him because that's the role I've always been in. I've always been, the protector, right? And my mom and my sisters joke to this day, Perry think he the daddy, right? You know what I'm saying? And they're all, two of them are older than I am. And that's just the way I've always operated, in the sense of being a protector and making sure that I was okay so they would be okay.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share on that? Well, the question was, what weight are you carrying that nobody else knows? And I want to expand that to say that how many of you feel vulnerable enough, or that you're safe enough to say, hey, I need somebody to check on me? Those people who I'm the strongest man for, I need them to call me and check on me. Ron, you were going to say something?
No, I was saying, I know that I can call you. I know I can call Perry. I know that there are several men in this community that I can call upon, because we've had these conversations in the past. Not at this level.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I'm so glad to see that we're doing this, but it's really important for us to create that community and that brotherhood, and know that there are individuals that we can call upon. And there's several men in this room that I know I can call upon at any time.
So the reason why I asked, and I'm glad that I'm a part of your support system. The reason why I asked about that is because in my own life, my wife said to me, she said, man, you're communicating so much better now. And man, I don't know what it is. I said, I'm tired. I'm tired of putting on the mask. I'm tired of not telling you what I need. I'm tired of acting like it's all right. It's not all right. I'm not okay. I don't feel okay. I'm struggling with some things, and I'm tired. And so I'm not this great communicator. I'm not this great guy. I'm simply tired. And so being able to express that did a great deal for me. But I pose that to you, that have you had an experience like that, or do you feel safe enough to feel that you can communicate those things? Or just what are your thoughts about what I just said? Any of those things?
I think that for me personally, it was a struggle because I'm a combat veteran.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have any tools or anything to come home and talk about emotions. Because for anybody who was in any form of military service, you're taught that you can't be afraid.
Yeah.
And then secondly, and probably even more closely, is you're okay. And so for a soldier coming back from combat who dealt with that, to go into some doctor's office and say I'm not okay was, we weren't allowed to do that thing. And so in dealing with that, through therapy and all those things, I'm kind of like you. Like now, it's whatever. Like I'll tell anybody that's willing to listen, because that's who I am, and I understand that I do still need that community of people. And somebody needs to understand that if I start tripping, this is what's going on. And I need that. And so, for a long time, it was for about maybe 10 or 15 years, there was nobody. I was single. I wasn't married. And I was a single parent with a child, so imagine how that's going.
Yeah.
But now that I'm married, my wife is dealing with the same thing, and so now we have each other, and that's cool. So,
Yeah.
But it's much different now, but I understand what that isolation and that loneliness feels like, to not feel like you can express that part and get it out.
Anybody else want to share anything? Yes, sir.
One of the issues that I've had with being able to share that is everything will be going good, and then I start struggling, and if I share that with someone, then they start worrying about me. And so now I have to worry about your feelings about me and what I was already worrying about as well. So it feels like it's compounding the problem as opposed to helping. Or if everyone else is seeing you as that nice, calm, sturdy boat in the ocean, then all of a sudden you start rocking, then they start rocking, because
if it's bad enough to
Shake
shake
you.
we should really be in trouble.
Right.
So those are some of the things that I've like tried to tiptoe and work on, because I don't want to have to do it all by myself. I want to be able to say, I'm not okay, leave me alone, I'm going to bed. But it's a balancing act.
Okay. Can anybody relate to that?
I think we all can.
Okay. Lenzo? You don't have to. I'm just.
Well, I mean, obviously, I listen, and you obviously know my background,
Yeah.
you know my history. I sit, I observe, veteran, leader. So again, I sit and I listen to all these men, and again, we have a young man here, you know, obviously, going to learn from over years. Your network, your circle. I mean, I always, you know, I'm very limited to communicating with people at all.
Yeah.
So I keep my circles tight, and having people that you can communicate with, that you can trust, you build that relationship. And I always say, you know, we all probably are rooted one way or another, connected somehow.
Mhm.
And we you know, have faith in God. We have faith in our brothers and our fathers and things like that. But I mean, we learn from each other.
Yeah.
We teach each other. We raise our kids, and we hope our kids do well. Because again, the burden, going back to the question that you asked, like what's waiting on us. I mean, we worry about our kids. We worry about our parents. It's a circle of life. Because again, our kids are going to worry about us. And as grandparents, it's going to continuously be a concern. So, I mean, obviously, you asked the question about our age and having someone under the age of 18, or you know, those kids are in a time now where I think it was just in Thailand, where a kid just went ballistic in a school. I mean,
Yeah.
you always have these issues, and being a combat vet, you always have in the back of your mind what you know, you got war still happening. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
always something rolling in your mind, and you got, like I said, I sit back and I watch, and that's all. I think I base my time and my presence is being observant, being patient, and again, if someone ever wants to call me at 3 o'clock, is to be available.
Yeah.
Because again, that's what it means to be present, is to be available. So again, I'm always, again, for any and everyone.
Right.
So I try.
Understood. Thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to share? So I'm going to share a quick poem with you guys. You know, I went through a dark place where I even had to be transparent and wrestle with God a little bit. And I wrote a poem called Just Take Me. And it goes like this. It says, Lord, it's dark and hell is hot. And as my world crumbles around me, my mind begins to rot from the darkness of my desire. This unquenchable fire that makes right seem so wrong. This weakness within me that makes me not want to be strong. This voice in the back of my head that says, do it one more time, it won't take that long to lie dirt over your pain. Just a little medication to keep me from going insane. Just another mask to hide the tears that fall like rain. Father, sometimes I feel like Job when the devil tried to get him to curse your name. I've been hurting so long that good days, bad days all feel the same. And truth be told, I'm tired of this Friday never ending. I'm tired of life never bending. I'm tired of my heart never mending. Tell me how I can finally be on the winning end of the stick. Tell me how I finally raise up from the depths of this fresh cup of shit. Tell me what I've done or doing so wrong, I swear I'll quit. Maybe my life was on its way to Sunday, but the matrix had a major glitch. Or maybe you need to switch the hard drive in my CPU, because my pain has corrupted my spirit all the way through. Father, sometimes I wonder, are you truly mindful of me? Or am I just a poor, wretched soul stretching his hand to thee, saying, please, sir, have mercy. This cross is too heavy. And like a letter lying flat on the table, I surrender. My soul is even postmarked, return to sender, because I'm dying inside from wounds so tender, and it's becoming too hard to remember when they weren't. Lord, just take me. And he didn't take me, but he allowed me to spill my heart to him and tell him exactly where I was, exactly what I was feeling. And he sent me brothers to surround myself with, that I could be transparent, that I could communicate with, that I could get these things out. He allowed me to be more transparent at home so that I can just say what I mean and not just assume they understand. I'm going to tell you exactly what I need and not just, hey, you will get it after a while. Ken.
You know, the question I would have is like, what does it feel like to carry that alone? And do you guys ever think about it and, you know, what it feels like to really just be that rock and feel alone?
Question for anybody. Anybody, after all that's been shared, anybody got anything they just want to get off their heart, anything that they want to share with the group, anything that has stood out to you? And it, you know, it could be a response to what somebody else has said, the experiences, whatever it is. Is there anything that you feel like is good for the good of the group?
I was going to add to kind of what we're talking about. One of your questions was, do we always feel like we have to be the strongest man in the room, or we walk in with the strongest man in the room? For a lot of us, that's not necessarily always at home, but any other places that you, for example, at work.
Right.
In your work environment, how strong do we really have to be walking in that place because everybody's watching you?
Correct.
Seeing what you're gonna do, seeing how you're gonna respond, and seeing how you're gonna react. Even though you may wanna react a certain way, you have to purport yourself to say, you know what, I gotta show them that I'm strong. Even though I'm not, even though I want to say A, B, C, and D, I can't because, I say I can't, but I won't because I don't want people to believe this about me.
Right.
Or everybody's watching me to see how I'm gonna respond. And I notice that way when I walk into my office, I can actually sometimes just set the mood depending on what I do when I walk in. And I know that.
Right.
I don't wanna have that. I didn't ask for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I know it's there. And I know people watch it. And that's a lot of weight on a person to be able to shift the whole environment, you know, based on what your mood or attitude may be for that day. Because you may want to feel a certain way. But it's like, nah, if I react like this, the whole work environment is going to be crashing.
Right.
And then you got to take that and then go home and say, okay, well, I still have to be okay at home a lot of times, because when you walk into the house, sometimes you can have that same shift. And when you walk in the door of, am I going to control the mood in the house now? Based on what I do when I walk in the house. You see what I'm saying?
Oh no, I fully get it. It would tell you.
That's why I cry in the shower.
Oh man, come on, boss. Come on, boss. Listen, I had to brief my wife to talk to the kids. When I come home, let me get 10 minutes. I don't want to hear about all the ills of the day. Just let me decompress for about 10 minutes because I've been Superman all day. I want to just chill for a second. Now I can field all your questions after that. And for me, that works. I don't know if that's anybody else, but for me, I had to do that for me so that I'm not snappy with them. Because I bring home the stresses of work and now I'm irritable at home and now I'm no good. And so I want to pass around, each man just share one thing. If you don't feel comfortable, just pass it to the next man. Share one thing you believe that at this age you need.
I'll start if you don't mind. So at this age, right, more than ever, I need this, right? Because a transition in my life happened when the three of us connected, right? I grew leaps and bounds. I have friends, acquaintances, and brothers that I love, but there was just something that flipped the switch for me. So, and then it disappeared because, you know, things happen, life happened. But our impromptu talks, calls, connecting each other, merging calls, right? It continues to help me be a better father, be a better husband sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
Be a better son, and be a better child of God, because we talk about so many things. And I never thought that, I can't say never, I can say I yearned for a relationship with the two of you and a couple other brothers, but I was always a little reserved, although we talk about everything, right? I was always a little reserved, but I realized, especially after my health scare, that I need fellowship, I need common men in my life. I need men that I can sit down and just be vulnerable to, and just hold on and cherish those relationships. Like I literally light up when my phone rings and it's either you or Ron or you know, one of my other partners. So I need that right now, right? Because my own transition in life and all the different things that I'm going through and kids and grandkids and the joy that comes and all that, but I also need some people I can just be real with, right? Without, like Larry says, like showing up sometimes thinking you have to be, you know, perfect for everybody.
Right.
Right? So I need this. I love these circles. I love these moments where I can sit in a room of men, and because I'm a little more aware now, a little more self-aware, I can be vulnerable and feel like, you know, I don't give a damn. Like what? But it just feels good. Like I needed this. So thank you.
Praise God. Yes, sir.
At this age of 68 years old, I need to learn how to say no. I'm involved with so many activities, events, so forth and so on, that my wife kind of opened my eyes a few months ago about how I agree and get involved with so much that I'm not given the appropriate time at home. Not to say, and I don't have the kind of wife that is, I don't have a needy wife, but she does need me.
Yes, yes.
So I'm involved with a lot of events, a lot of groups, a lot of activity. Everybody knows I'm the event manager here at Dunbar. However, outside of Dunbar, I get calls almost weekly for something.
Yeah.
And I'm always willing to go and help. So at this age of 68 years young, I need to say no.
I'm with you on that.
I need to learn how to say no.
All right.
For me, I need to, like, I still have that I am Superman, my shoulders are broad, I can take this, but I can't keep going at the same pace I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Body don't work that way, brain don't work that way, and so it kind of goes along the line with saying no, but I need to be more picky and choosy with which battles I'm gonna choose to take on, because my body don't recover like that no more. So I need to also make sure that I'm making time for me to recuperate.
Yeah.
So setting aside that me time, putting on my mask, and making sure that I can get my oxygen mask on before I go out and try and save the world.
I guess what I say, what I need, and something I probably never dabbled in, is probably more men's fellowship, more outside of the building, outside. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've probably never been fishing, to be honest with you, because of my career and just doing things for the family and the kids, and just taking care of myself. But I would say I just need more man time. I guess I don't know how to fellowship, but outside.
Understood. Yeah, I get that. Anybody else? Gene?
I need to be more forgiving to myself, as well as the fellowship, as he just mentioned.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I've been kind of joking with a few people about being part of one of the largest organizations or groups that never meets. And we're all members, or a lot of us, of what I call the 1BC, the One Brother Club. Usually the places that we're at, the events we're dealing with,
Yeah.
there's one brother there, and it's usually us.
Yeah.
So we become part of that club or that organization or what have you. So, but to fellowship and be more forgiving or more accepting of myself.
You good?
Yeah, I guess I need to learn how to need. I guess it's difficult to say I need something. I've been on my own since I was 18.
Yeah.
So I've always provided for myself, not without help. But that was a mindset from home, because when I was dependent on, you asked a question earlier about who showed you how to be a man. My father didn't give me, and I was raised by my mother.
Yeah.
And so by the men that were in my life, I was shown what not to do. So that was the example that I took. And so from there, I was just like, well, I'm not going to depend on you because you're proven to be
Not dependable, yeah.
So I've always depended on me, and so I've made it a life decision to, as much as I can, not need anyone for anything. Now that doesn't mean that I don't need to be seen or need to be loved or need to be heard or any of those things. But I just think I've lived my life with, if I think I need something, I'll just go get it myself.
myself.
Just do it yourself.
Do you think that's cost you anything?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's cost me relationships, it's cost me money, it's cost me jobs, it's cost me peace of mind, it's cost me certain parts of my health, it's cost me a lot of time. You know, but looking at it now, that was the price I was asking myself to pay unaware. I wasn't aware that I was asking myself to pay that. Now, you know, being a little bit older, you know, yeah, absolutely it cost me, but that's come and gone now.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I would say for me, at this age, this place, like we just spoke about at 10 minutes, sometimes I need peace. I just need peace. I don't need anybody calling, I don't need anybody worrying about me. I don't, even in my own brain, the peace of not worrying about everything else that's going on around me. That's internal peace.
Yeah.
And that, I think, I need that more than even the outward piece of just being able to hold myself accountable to not worry about all those other external outliers that I may or may not have control of.
Yeah.
I still worry about. So that, I think that piece for me, it even, you know, going back to what Perry said, it has a health thing too, because that can, you know, create high blood pressure and diabetes, a whole lot of other stressful things, but that inner peace doesn't give you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that for me, what I'm looking for now in myself at almost 61 is how do I create that peace within myself and tell others, like you said, that, you know, at a certain point, I'm gonna need you not to invade that peace.
Right. Right. Ron?
I don't get my sleep, boy. It's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be real ugly.
Desert Dog, you got anything?
I think my problem is how to ask for help. Maybe it's the pride in me or anybody else that says, I don't want to ask for help because I got this.
Right.
Whether it's in life, it's the question of how to ask for it.
Right.
I can come ask for, hey, let's talk, but I don't feel comfortable with that.
Right.
So,
When you're used to taking care of yourself, sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable.
yes.
Where do you think you first learned that?
First learn what?
Not asking for help.
I don't know. I just don't feel I need help
All right.
in anything, but I need help in everything.
We all do. Yeah. Yeah. Terrence?
I don't know what the brother was saying. I don't like to ask for help because if I ask for it and you don't give it, I'm gonna feel some kind of way. Like, I don't know whether it's unresolved abandonment issues or whatever else is going on. If I ask you and I depend on you and you don't do it, now I have a resentment, and so I just know if I don't ask, I just do it myself, it's gonna get done, and I can keep moving on. So that's another barrier that I'm still trying to, hump that I'm trying to get over, to be able to entrust that if I ask somebody, even if they say no, great, or if they do say yes and it doesn't work out, that it's okay. But that, I'm not there yet, but that's what I'm working up to.
But the biggest thing I know that I need is I have to do things to take care of myself.
Yeah.
For so long, you know, I neglected like my mental health.
Yeah.
I do take care of my physical health. That's a big priority. But things like going to the doctor, for example, I put off doing that.
Yeah.
You know, I have glaucoma, and I would go to the eye specialist, and I'd be the youngest one there. And for me, that was embarrassing. You know, I'd be in there, and I don't mean to, you know, put anybody down who may be older than me, but, you know, I'm 56. But, you know, I'd go in there, and like I said, most of the people were much older than I was. And I had carried that, like, you know, why am I here? Something, I'd make it me out to be like something's really wrong, that I should be there. When I really should be there because I need to take care of myself. So
Right.
that's what I had to recognize, and I had to start stepping up and doing those kinds of things. So I make sure now I schedule my physicals every month. I get my dentist appointments. You know, I don't skip out on those things that I know are good for me to take care of myself. So that's really what I need. I also go to therapy when I feel I need it.
Yeah.
I'm currently doing that right now. So that's what I do.
For me, that's a blessing because I'm in that same boat where I don't want to go to the doctor, and my wife can attest to it, that I get to the doctor and I'm complaining about everything. It's just a racket, man. They're trying to get more money out of me, man. They're doing another test. The truth is, I don't want to hear the results of that test. I don't want to hear that there's another problem. I don't want to hear that I neglected something and I didn't take care of it. And I'm embarrassed to be in there among, I'm like, but I'm the strong guy. Like, what am I doing here? And I come from a long line of men that didn't take care of themselves, and it didn't end well. And so I got to do something different. I got a licensed therapist in the room.
I want to say that this is very powerful because I do this work, and it requires courage, and I've seen a lot of courage in the States tonight, so I'm very honored to be a part of this. So I'm being quiet, because a lot of times I do respond, but sometimes I just need to shut up, like my brother said. 2 ears and 1 mouth is listening twice as much as I speak. I think something that's very powerful is this young man here has a different need than many of us do, because we've seen some of the things we were young, all we needed was sex, we thought, right? So that's all we went after. But I think two of the closest brothers in this room to me right now, Kenny Martin, the gentleman just spoke, my brother Larry, kind of grew up together. And I agree, peace, as we get older, we all just want to be at peace. I never got married because I wanted to be at peace, because I knew what I went through as a child, and I saw my brother, who was, people thought we were twins, we were in high school all the way through, abandoned by our father, was raised by a stepfather who was a pastor, and beat my brother and I every day. And I didn't want to take that into a relationship as I got older. So people began to say to me, oh, you're just afraid of commitment. I said, no, I don't want to take that pain and not get it resolved and go into a relationship and let it manifest at the most inopportune time. And now, a lot of times we do that. We don't realize that trauma is going to manifest in our lives, maybe through a relationship where we finally let our guards down. And she says something, oh, you think you do it? And all of a sudden we just go. So I'm very blessed and very honored to do the work that I do. But more importantly, I want to get back to, I would agree that we need peace. Then the question becomes, what is peace? And I ask that question. I have a nonprofit that I work with. Every night we have a board meeting. I always ask what I call my discussion question. And that happened to be a discussion question. What is peace? And I discovered, for me, peace is faith at rest. When we have faith and we know that what it is we're going through, we're going to be okay.
Right.
Then we find that peace within.
Yeah.
And it becomes internal and external. It's a process. Right. So.
Awesome. EJ, you got any feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I love everything that's been said. I would say, first of all, I need this because seeing fathers when you're younger, your dad looks like a superhero. He looks like he can do everything. So when I came into manhood, that's like the expectation I have for myself. Now I gotta be everything because my dad was everything. You know what I'm saying? So I need to see that, okay, y'all are not everything. Thank you. So you can just be you. So I need to be okay at this time, like not getting everything right. Like understanding that I won't get everything right because I set such high expectations for myself. And my dad always tells me, I just want you to be the best you. Like there's no expectation I have for you. Like, just be the best EJ. And I'm like, whatever that means. But yeah, this is very helpful for me, so I'm grateful.
Praise God. Praise God. Ken?
Yeah, no, this is really great. Great discussion. Everybody's, being open. And, I like what was said about peace. And it comes down to what does it mean to you? What does peace mean to you? It's individual. And everything we're talking about in here is about, people always say, I don't want to make it about me, but it is about you.
Right.
And how you live your life is about you. So, as we go through here and we're going through the questions, so I'm really enjoying the discussion, the openness. And there's one thing, though, I really want us to consider as we're going through this, because we keep talking about how, it's great, bunch of guys getting together. But we have relationships, a lot of relationships with more than just the guys. And so as you're going through and we're talking about this, just consider, the other relationships in your life and where they're at and in your life and as you think about the questions and what's asked and what you're feeling. And because, a lot of us have partners, we have children, and where's that? So it's cool to be a bunch of guys getting together and, and supporting each other. But let's also consider, as we're thinking about this, our other relationships.
So one of the things, again, we had this long drawn out thing. We're not going to stress this thing out. One of the things that I want to present you with along the same lines that Ken is talking about is in my own life, in my Act 1, I spent so much time building, trying to become something, trying to build something, trying to check all the boxes to say I've accomplished these things and I took care of and I provided and I did all those things, only to have one of my older children to tell me, yeah, but you didn't spend any time with me. And I go back to the movie Fences when he said, hey, don't you have food in your stomach? Don't you have a roof over your head? Don't you have clothes on your back? That's why I was raised. As long as I provide, I'm good. And they're saying, but you didn't know me. You didn't spend any time with me. And my way of discipline in their mind is archaic because they get all this information from the internet, and that's toxic. And that's overbearing, and that's too much, and it don't take all that. And now I got to find my words to talk them back into what the lesson actually is. And sometimes the frustration of not being appreciated makes me fall short. I'm too busy mad instead of talking through it. Anybody can relate to that?
It's a learned behavior because of the false narrative that we were taught as men, right? Don't cry, right? Be strong, all the things, right? Yeah, I can relate, right? Because I was that man for a long time. I love the fact that you and Trisha's labeled it as Act 1 and Act 2 because Act 2 in my life, I've learned that if I want peace, I got to show up peacefully, right? And I've also learned that I need to be my own muse because it's the best subject that I know, right? Continue to pour into me so I can be a better person for everybody else around me. So the behaviors that you're talking about, and we've discussed this, is learned. And so how do we continue to try to navigate ourselves away from all the things we've learned? To say, you know what, I gotta let go of that baggage. Eric, if I do bad later, I gotta let go of that baggage because it did interfere with my chapter 1, right? How I showed up for my 2 older kids, and then how I showed up differently for my wife's 2 boys, right? And to hear them say, 2 older ones say, "You soft now, Dad," right? And that landed a certain way, right? Because thank God I'm softer, right? Because to learn that lesson is a hard lesson.
Yeah, brother.
I was going to say, I could relate to your comment. When I was growing up, my dad was the type that he was a great provider. We had a great house growing up. As a kid, I had all the toys I wanted. But, when it came to like somebody teach me how to hit baseball, for example, it was my next door neighbor's dad. It was, somebody else's dad to teach me something else because my dad was always, he was working. So when I had kids of my own, my goal was to be that dad that was always at whatever their events were. I never missed school performances. I was always at their, sporting events. I wanted to be kind of the opposite.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that I was always visible. Because I didn't feel my dad was visible for me.
Right.
Even though my dad was great. Like I said, it on paper what it looked like to be a dad. But I could just relate to your comment.
Yes, sir.
Just based on what you had said there.
Yes, sir.
And how you related with your own children and that sort of.
I was gonna say in my Act 2, right? in Act 1, as I was looking at being a young, I was an older father. I didn't have kids until I was 34 years old.
Right.
But seeing how I raised them was based off of how my father was. He was again, staunch, don't speak, unless I speak to you.
Right.
Get up, change the sound. Very, very astute, not meant in very many words. And again, like you said, I tried to be almost the opposite of that.
Right.
But as I learned, as I got older and I seen, the way he was and why he did certain things, I understood he did the best that he could with what he had.
Right.
Based on the information he was given at the time of being what a father is. So I'm sure his father died when he was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
And he had to come and be the man of the house.
Yes.
That's why they call him chief, to take over.
Mm-hmm.
So his thought process of being a dad was totally different than what I thought, but with the tools that he had, he did the best he could.
Yeah.
And I had that same conversation with my boys. They're 27 years old.
Yeah.
So we were talking. I said, well, how do you think I was as a father? We started talking about that. I said, but I can say unapologetically, I did the best that I could possibly do with what I had.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm sure there's some things you may feel I could have done differently,
Mm-hmm.
but with the information that I had at the time and what I thought was best for you at that time is why I did that.
I was the best version of me at that point.
Right. And a lot of times when we talk about that,
Yeah.
Masculinity and whatever else
Right.
it was, but if you think about it, my father would be over 100 years old right now.
Yeah.
And think about what his father was, a slave. His grandmother was a slave.
Mm-hmm.
Not that far removed.
Right.
So thinking about what they had and what he gave us,
Right.
he's like, I need to send you to school so you can be important.
Mm.
That's all I give a shit about.
Right.
Period. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what you think about it.
Right.
None of it. Don't ask me nothing. Go to school and do what you're told.
Right.
Right? So now with my boys, though, I can say, yeah, go to school and do what you're told. However, I'm going to go to school to help you. I'm going to go to your basketball game and football game.
Yeah.
And hopefully now they'll see, my boys will see,
Right.
a little bit different version of what they'll do with their kids. Because I know, like, anybody here a grandparent? We're totally different people.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, as a grandparent, how do you let them get away with all, we never, I said, well, because I'm different. I'm in a different place.
Different place. And I know more.
That's why I think about, like, how we're raised and how we do things.
Yeah.
It's a different place and time. And as long as the people are doing the best they possibly could for what they had and what they were doing,
Yeah.
I don't believe we can always try to fault them for the way that they raised us.
Yeah. Anybody else got a comment?
If I could just say, I recently just had a conversation with my dad. I told him, I said growing up, I knew you did the best job that you knew how to do.
Right.
And, I realized you weren't perfect, and I realized, as a dad, I made my own mistakes, but I knew that he did the best job that he was able to do with what he had available to him.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think my father's the same way, but I think in hindsight, you didn't want your father to teach you how to play basketball. He didn't know how to do it. And I think to assume that the father should be this global kind of thing
Right.
is not irrelevant back then.
Right. Especially not back then.
Back then.
Right.
They worked and worked and worked. They didn't have time to learn how to play basketball, how to play football. But the community came together, and you learned that from someone else.
Yeah. It was a village. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. One of the things I wanna just leave us with, and along those same lines, remember the previous generation that raised us, because all of us in here are older, not EJ, but the rest of us are plus 40, plus 50. They were coming out of survival.
Right.
They were coming out of just being respected as men. And so one of the reasons, again, I wear the hat is because my granddaddy, no matter if he didn't have but $2 in his pocket, he looked like something. And that was his thing. When you present yourself, you represent our family name,
Right.
you represent our lineage, and everybody connected to you. And when you go out, you need to look like something. He didn't have any fancy
You've been
words, only had a
listening to
second grade
Act Two for
education,
Men,
but he
a
looked
special
like something.
live edition of the Coach Dad podcast. Thank you to Ken Alexander, and especially to every man who showed up and was willing to be a part of this conversation. And to everyone listening, whatever your Act 2 looks like, be intentional about how you build it. Thank you for being with us. And remember, Dedication fuels you, discipline shapes you, and development carries you. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.